and thank you for joining our first webinar, SFI Conservation Team webinar. The idea behind this webinar is that you're going to hear a lot more from Lauren, but we received funding, as you might know already, from ECCC, Environment and Climate Change Canada. So this is an opportunity for us to share some of the work that we have done in that regard. I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Francesco Cortini. I am the Director of Conservation Research and Practices with SFI. I started a little short of 6 months ago, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my new position here with SFI. I just want to mention that I'm calling you today from beautiful Victoria, BC, on the traditional territory of the Lekwungen speaking people. And today, I'm just going to go over a little bit of the agenda here. It's a very brief agenda, if my slide. So basically just very brief introductions, and then we're going to jump right into a presentation from Lauren, our Chief Conservation Officer with SFI. Just an overview about this grant for climate smart forestry offer provided by ECCC Canada. And then we're lucky to have Alexis Achim here, professor at University of Laval. He is the co-lead of Silva 21, and we just had a very interesting experience in Sherbrooke, Quebec with Silva 21. So Alexis is going to share with us some of the highlights from that experience. And then we are allowing time at the end for a Q&A question period. So the comments in the chat, I believe, are disabled, but there will be an opportunity for Q&A. There's an icon, a little Q&A at the bottom there that you can click on and put your questions in there. So without any further ado, I'm just going to pass it over to Lauren for her presentation.
Great. Thanks so much, Francesco. And are you continuing to share the slides, Francesco, or should I?
I can do that, and okay. I can just, yeah.
That'd be lovely. I had it here too, but that would be great. So next slide, please. And so hi, everyone. It's really great to have you here. We are excited to connect with some of our colleagues and relationships that we've developed over the last really first year of our project that is advancing climate smart forestry in Canada. And excited to hear a presentation from one of our key partners today, from Alexis. So thank you so much again, Alexis, for joining us. And thanks, Francesco, for the great introduction. Next slide, please. If you're not familiar, I know we've put a pretty broad invitation out for this session today. And so again, to reiterate for Francesco, this is really the first information session. It is very tightly linked to a grant that we have, which I'll cover, but it is really relevant to our climate smart forestry work across our entire footprint. So if you're not very familiar, SFI has a forest management standard that offers certification to forest managers. And we do have a very large footprint across the US and Canada. The majority of this is in Canada, so our Canadian footprint is really incredibly important to us. But we do have a parallel effort in the United States as well. And so if you're interested there, please get on our email list, get connected with us, because we'll have some information sessions on our climate change work there as well. Next slide, please. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our team. So we have a number of folks that are heavily involved in the work in Canada, including Francesco, who you just heard from. We have Lindsay Douglas, who's also on the call, who is coordinating the work focused again on the Canadian footprint. We have Madhuri Jani, who is also coordinating. She works across different programs. And then we have other team members that are also leading up work in the US. I'll also mention Rachel Hamilton, who is leading on the Indigenous engagement work as part of our project here in Canada. Next slide, please. So there's a number of strategies that we can conceptualize for how we connect forests with climate change. This is kind of one major way to bin some of those strategies. You can approach it as increasing or maintaining your forest lands. So strategies like avoiding deforestation and increasing reforestation or restoration activities. The second could be maintaining or increasing your carbon stocks or your flows. So that could be changes in your management approaches. That could be adapting your forest to climate change, ensuring that you have vigorous forest growth and health into the future. And then we have the last is increased sustainable wood use. And there, that could be substituting wood for energy, for energy intensive building materials like concrete and steel. And here at SFI, our forest management standard supports really all of these. So it's ensuring that we have restoration, that we have value for forests, we're avoiding deforestation, we're ensuring best management practices that are creating healthy and resilient forests into the future, and that we're creating and ensuring that we have actual sustainability principles behind wood so we can feel confident using those materials. Next slide, please. In our standard, and we can maybe drop a link here if you're not very familiar with our standard, we have previously had mentions of climate change in the standard. So we had to kind of in different objectives. So I have a couple of examples here on the left. But in 2022, the theme of climate change became elevated to its own objective. So we have now objective 9 is climate smart forestry, and this requires our certified organizations across our entire footprint to take steps to adapt to and mitigate climate change. So they have to assess the risks of climate change and how those are affecting their forests and forest operations and take steps to minimize those risks. And then they also have to assess their forestry operations and their forests and the impact on climate change and take steps to mitigate that effect or enhance a net positive effect. And so this is kind of the underpinning of all of our climate change work is that it links directly to our standard. Next slide, please. But I like to point out that though we have, and we have it over here on the left-hand side, this objective 9, climate smart forestry, it is embedded in our broader standard. So there's other principles that are longstanding in forest certification, like forest health and productivity, forest management planning, efficient use of fiber sources that are already in the standard. This is not a standalone component, and it's really quite cross-cutting. We have other key aspects like conservation of biological diversity and, of course, fire resilience and awareness, which are very important topics and are tightly linked to our climate smart forestry work. So just like to highlight here that climate is important, but it's not separate. It's not separated from these other objectives. Next slide, please. And so what we're presenting to you all today is this new Climate Smart Forestry initiative. We have a website that we can share with you as well. That this is a multi-year initiative. I mentioned briefly this does span across our entire footprint, so in the US and Canada. It's focusing on enhancing carbon sinks and reducing emissions from the forest sector while also addressing biodiversity and wildfire risk. So we are recognizing we have crises unfolding there as well that affect our forests. This is a robust effort. We're looking to really leverage partners that are doing work in different ways. One of the key points that we emphasize is we're not looking to recreate. There's a lot of great work happening. We're looking to elevate research, elevate initiatives, elevate pilot projects within our certified organizations to create more clarity around the practices that can be undertaken to meet these aspects of the standard. And thanks, my colleague Lindsay dropped the link in there to the standard. And so this is, we're calling these climate-informed principles and practices, or CLIPs, and we have a range of partners here across the US and Canada that are just really a snapshot of some of the actors that we're centrally working with on this new initiative that we've launched. Next slide, please. And the key project that we're kind of touching on today, or pretty lightly, but to provide some context. And we can also, you can find more information on this on our website as well. We've recently had a press release last fall that announced the project, but we were really excited to be able to attract funds from the Nature Smart Climate Solutions Fund. This is from Environment and Climate Change Canada. But it's because of our footprint and our standard and the way that we're able to partner with certified organizations, we were able to attract resources to launch this project, which is aiming to identify, develop, and implement climate smart forestry practices and strategies on our landscape. And the goal is to contribute to a reduction of Canada's net greenhouse gas emissions using a sector-based approach. So we're looking for scalable practices that can be understood in both like a regional or for a specific context, but we're able to identify what are the larger practices. When are we undertaking resilience strategies? When are we undertaking conservation strategies? How do we articulate what the climate benefit is of those strategies? So we have a number of activities here. That is really collaborative. This isn't, I'll just emphasize, this is not a research project. We're really looking to partner with existing research efforts and organizations. But what we have here are resources to bridge what we call a science practice gap. So how do we kind of accelerate the communication needed to kind of bridge what we're learning from pilots, from research, and use that to inform forest management. And because of climate change, because of our fire risk and our biodiversity crisis, we're needing to make that jump more quickly than we've ever had to before. So we have resources in this project to workshop with experts, partners, our certified organizations, and First Nations. We have a big emphasis on Indigenous knowledges and Indigenous partners in this project, including a flow-through financial component that will directly finance the implementation of practices on the ground. Next slide, please. And so here's a quick snapshot of what these practices look like. We won't go into this too far today, but we are happy to share this figure with you all. It's a kind of conceptual figure that's shaping the work. The key thing to look at here is we have input information like vulnerability assessments and greenhouse gas inventorying. And then in the middle, you have a range of management and intervention options. And so these are the types of activities we're looking to support financially with our Indigenous partners and to collaborate with our certified organizations and other large landowners to understand what are the practices that can be undertaken to pursue climate beneficial outcomes in these categories. So we'll hear from our speaker today about adaptive management and silvicultural approaches. They just wanted to present this kind of conceptual framing, and again, happy to share this with anyone, but in our webinar series or here, we'll be kind of continually coming back to this figure and doing deeper dives on different topics. Next slide, please. And just to quickly touch on our first year, we've had some big events, some great collaborations have come together. We've been working closely with Dr. Lemugun Samo from McMaster University, and we had an event focused on greenhouse gas measurement. And we have a report coming out on that shortly. And then connected to our guest speaker today, we were delighted to partner on the Silva 21 annual general meeting in Quebec. We'll hear more from Alexis on that, so I won't touch on that too much. And we also have identified our partners for the first round of funding. We had seed funding available for Indigenous-led climate-smart forestry projects that we'll be formally announcing very soon. But some big successes and big thanks to my team for helping to pull this off for us. And again, there's lots of these updates on our website, and we hope you check that out. And next slide, please. This is a kind of quick snapshot of the financial support. Just to flag for you, if you are from First Nation or you have colleagues, connections there, we are really looking to get the word out that we have financial support in this grant. There's going to be, this is a snapshot of the first round of funding. We had 200,000 that was distributed to 8 First Nations in some seed funding and some project startup funds. These will be announced soon. I want to flag that we have a July 10th information session coming up for the next funding opportunity that will be available this fall. So just flagging that this is really important aspect of the project, and we appreciate any help getting this information out, and we'll have this information session coming up in just about a month. So next slide, please. And this is, again, central to this project that we have this focus on Indigenous partners. And here we have the financial resources, and we're really looking to co-create these implementation tactics based on the priorities within our Indigenous partners and in their territories. So this is looking to pilot the implementation tactics with Indigenous leadership. We have the financial resources, but we're taking a pretty practical approach as well. So not only what's the climate benefit of these interventions, but but what's the actual costs and what are some barriers of implementation? Are these scalable? And how can we collaborate on overcoming some of these costs? We'll be looking to create recommendations from this that embrace both cultural values and traditional ecological knowledges. So again, it's a very exciting part of our project. We have resources for workshops, side events, and engagement on this as well. And next slide. So here's a quick QR code. This is to kind of wrap up this section. I'll hand it over to Alexis. But we have, as I mentioned, the information session for this in the next round of funding. And we'll also be this is the top QR code, register for the session coming up. The lower one here is to get on our email list, and we have already scheduled the next webinar. We'll be highlighting this aspect of the project in greater detail and highlighting some of the initiatives that we're supporting with the work. So thank you for the opportunity to provide this overview, and I'll hand it over to Alexis to present on his work and the efforts of Silva 21. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Should I just share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I saw the list of people there, and the funny thing is, yesterday we had a day in the field, and a few of these people heard me talk all day, and they will be stuck with more of my talking, although I promise this time it'll be short. We had a wonderful day in the field yesterday. That's good. So you can see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So the idea here is to give you a short overview of what the Silva 21 project is, and give you also just a quick recap of the event we had with SFI, which we thought was very successful. So Silva 21 is a 5-year, $5.5 million project involving 12 co-applicants from 5 universities across Canada. Very importantly, 14 partners from industry, provincial governments, the federal government, and 2 Indigenous nations, and over 50 collaborators across Canada. And this is all dedicated to training 40 plus master's, PhD, postdoctoral fellows, and research associates, all aligned on the themes that Lauren just covered. This is our partners. Our objective, in a nutshell, is the research program is to provide data, tools, and practical solutions to improve the resilience of Canadian forests to various disturbances and sources of stress, thereby contributing to the health of these ecosystems and the well-being of the communities that depend on them. And our vision, a little bit like Lauren was saying, is that our vision as university researchers is to provide some key steps, and I would say the initial steps to developing tools that will then be implemented in practice. So the partnership with SFI is great because we are we develop what is possible, we show what's possible, and then partner organizations like SFI will help us elevate the research, as Lauren said, and put it into practice as much as possible. So making that connection is of course very important. We work under 3 different themes. Our work is organized under 3 different themes. Those themes are observed, which is essentially using remote sensing tools to monitor forests and look at their current state. Anticipate, which is to develop better growth models to take into account especially changing climates. And ultimately, our main aim, this all leads into the adapt theme, which is to try and adapt silvicultural practices and implement adaptive silvicultural practices to facilitate the adaptation of forests to climate change or to different realities. So I'll just feature this 40 plus project in Silva 21. I'll just feature 3 of them to give you a very quick idea of what we're doing. So one set of studies that we're very proud of is the development of continuous forest inventories, also called living forest inventories. We quite like the term. And in short, what we do is we first produce what's called an enhanced forest inventory, the LiDAR-informed enhanced inventory, which is static in time, but very precise in describing forest structure. And then what we do, we use satellite imagery to make the enhanced forest inventory dynamic in time. So when disturbances occur on the landscape, foresters would have a dashboard and would be able to see in near real time the disturbances that are occurring on their forest. So we think this could be, we see a lot of applications for that, and they want to zoom in, sorry, zoom in what, I guess, zoom in that, like that, sorry. So the idea is that, sorry, I lost my chain of thought, but the idea is that we see a lot of applications for that, but one important one would be for foresters to be able to see the current state of the forest and see disturbance and apply remedial action, silvicultural action when necessary, or even salvage logging when necessary. Sorry, I need to go back to something smaller. What have I done? Okay, so in the anticipate theme, what we also have done is that foresters told us, we know there are climate projections, but we don't have access to them. So this is Amy Witherspoon worked on providing rasters for Canadian forests of climate projections. And all of these rasters are available to all of our partners, but they could be made available more broadly as well, so that foresters know in each hectare of their forest what are the climate projections in terms of mean annual temperature, precipitation as snow, etc. So this we think is a great tool for foresters, and this is kind of the basic work that we need to have to be able to facilitate adaptation. And then we have, in ADAPT, we have a series of what we call legacy trials in which we establish either assisting migration trials, or in this case, a rainfall exclusion experiment to see the effect of thinning on the resilience to drought. So we have those rain exclusion structures that you can see on the slide. And we have forests of at different levels of thinning in New Brunswick, and we're looking at whether the more open stands are more resilient to drought, for example. So in total, we've already published 37 scientific publications in 18 different journals, 12 research bulletins and technical reports, several presentations at different conferences in many countries as well. So the work is well underway. We're in our 5th year of the program. And the 5th year of the program was a great opportunity to showcase our work. And every year we have what we call the annual general meeting at a location that's relevant to at least one of our partners. So this time we were on near Domtar, both the land and their private properties in Sherbrooke. And for a week, or just under a week, we had our students present their progress so far. And so we were very lucky to partner with SFI, because they brought not only our partners, but also external participants as well. So we had over 70 participants from 5 different universities, 5 provincial and federal government representatives, 4 industry partners, and importantly, 8 First Nations that chose and took the time to come and to listen to and to engage and to discuss with us and about the work that we were doing. So this was very rich in terms of discussions. The event spanned over 3 days. We had career speed dating event, which was very successful as well. The idea is that a lot of our students are completing their work or soon to be completed, and they look at the future with a certain level of uncertainty. So it was good to see for the students, it was very good to see that a lot of people were interested in their skills, but also in reverse. I think it was good for the partners to see that we were training this workforce of engaged, very clever, dynamic people as well that are coming to work as professionals or as researchers. We also had a joint event of putting research into practice, and really Lauren and her crew really challenged us to try to go the extra kilometer into trying to put our research, and the students had to put their research into more closely to, or more towards the practical outcomes of their research. And we had very rich panels and discussion groups related to that. We also had a very dynamic poster session and networking event hosted by Duntar and SFI, which was great because, if I'm not mistaken, we were celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Duntar SFI certification. Again, we had this interactive event where we could showcase our work in a different manner. It gave us an opportunity to have very rich discussions with both the stakeholders, but also the students involved in the work. And then we finished with a field tour of Duntar land, where we discuss a long-term experiment on commercial thinning and how it can help reduce risks to different disturbances. We also discussed the implementation of new selection methods in hardwood stands, whereby we think we can, with new selection criteria, we can increase both the quality of wood supplies in the short term, but also the vigor of the trees we leave behind in partial cuts in the northern hardwoods. We also had a very interesting discussion about black ash, a culturally important species in Wabanaki Forestry. We were in the Indakina, the traditional land of the Wabanaki Nation. And finally, we had a technological demonstration about how you can use drones, but not only standard drones, but also first-person drones to fly around tree crowns and assess the state of the tree crowns to facilitate the selection methods we were discussing about. So all of this was we were very happy with the connection. We want to thank very sincerely once again SFI for helping us significantly and financially hosting this event. And if you want to stay up to date with our project, we have several publications. We have research bulletins, newsletters, blogs. Visit the silva21.com website, and you will be able to have a lot of these resources. So I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope I didn't take too much time. And on that, I will pass it back to Francesco.